You dread opening holiday gifts from Aunt Clara because she labors under the delusion that you're a 4-year-old girl. Last year, she sent a pink bunny costume that your mother forced you to wear for entirely too long on what should have been a joyous occasion. This year, an equally large parcel arrived weeks in advance. It sat obtrusively among your other gifts with gaudy wrapping and a large multicolored bow. You felt anxious just looking at it. The big morning arrives, and you open every present but the one from Aunt Clara until finally your mother insists. With dry mouth and clammy hands, you slowly remove the bow and paper to reveal a container of bath salts and a copy of Eat, Pray, Love. Okay, a gift with no utility but a relief in light of last year's pink bunny costume. This scenario explains my experience with the Acolyte's 2-episode premiere. I dreaded it, I avoided it, and when push came to shove, I disliked it. But, all things considered, it could have been so much worse. Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host Jeff with thoughts on the Acolyte's premiere. First, I'll outline the story and make predictions, then I'll cover the specifics. Leslie Headland pitched The Acolyte to Kathleen Kennedy as Frozen meets Kill Bill. Frozen reunited sisters who'd been separated due to their parents' fear of magic. Kill Bill pitted a woman against a squad of assassins, all former colleagues. Ultimately, she killed them one by one for betraying her. In The Acolyte, a mysterious fire separated Force-sensitive twin sisters, May and Osha, as preteens. Osha trained with the Jedi until discomforting feelings caused her to wander the galaxy. Because the Jedi deluded her, she believed her sister and caregivers perished in the fire. May trained with a malevolent figure for vengeance. She knew 4 Jedi were responsible for the fire and subsequent cover-up. The quartet are equivalent to Kill Bill's squad of assassins. May's revenge will drive the series for at least half its run. Mystery isn't a proper description, though twists such as the malevolent figure's identity will come. It might be the twins' mother, which would mean the Jedi created their own adversary through intolerance. Also, theories about Force manipulation to create the twins, Darth Plagueis style. Flashbacks will expose the guilty parties and excuse May's brutality. May and Osha will reunite and together battle all opponents of Liberté, Egalité, Sororité, akin to Elsa and Anna in Frozen. I suspect the Jedi eliminated the twins' caregivers, lesbian witches, because their existence threatened the status quo.
The Sith and the Jedi are similar in almost every way.
The Sith rely on their passion for their strength. They think inwards, only about themselves.
And the Jedi don't.
The Coven hasn't appeared yet. Leslie Headland's allegory, ignorance of queerness, feminism, and sisterhood leads to fear. Fear leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. In this case, manifestation of systemic injustice. The Jedi ignored the will of the Force when they opted for power over compassion. So, in the end, they were doomed. By exposing the Order's corruption, the Sith will gain sympathy. Moving on to details. The costumes were ostentatious, but I forgave a degree of excess due to the time period, 100 years before The Phantom Menace. The score, settings, vehicles, and creatures were serviceable. No commendations, but no complaints. Despite missed opportunities to cleverly realize a pre-prequel ambient, the design team's work didn't perplex or upset me. My friend Robert quipped, 25 years later, the Nemoidians sound like Midwesterners, and the Jedi sound like Newt Gunray. Concepts from the High Republic showed substantial improvements. I expected awful direction and acting, but neither sunk to the trailer's level of parody. In those categories, my assessment is on par with other Star Wars productions. I'll address one significant exception in a moment. I enjoyed the performances of Lee Jung-jae, Daphne Keane, and Charlie Barnett. Yes, the no good or evil Anakin blew up the Death Star guy. The Acolyte's writers and directors outperformed Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, Joby Harold, and Robert Rodriguez. Not a high bar, but a surprise to be sure. A few words about fire in space. In our galaxy, no. In Star Wars, yes. For example, Queen Amidala's Naboo cruiser caught on fire when struck by lasers in Episode 1. Fire is the least of my concerns. I wasn't satisfied with the cinematography and editing at times. During the dance fighting scenes, the framing or perspective was bothersome. Darkness shrouded one encounter. I'll repeat my disdain for kung fu in Star Wars. The combination created distraction and cheapened the lore. Other elements also signaled contempt for the source material. The Jedi exhibited odd behavior compared to all previous depictions. Sometimes prudent, sometimes foolish. An overweight Jedi. A cranky Jedi.
A Jedi doesn't pull her weapon unless prepared to kill.
Nonsense. Headland's messaging filled the opening scripts, and more is certain to follow. Woke?
Yes?
I disagree with the identical twins gambit, specifically one actor for 2 parts. As both May and Osha, Amandla Stenberg was dull. Lack of charisma will likely hurt engagement, so future twists will fall flat. In closing, The Acolyte has 2 critical problems. 1, it isn't Star Wars. Looks like it, but doesn't act like it. 2, it's boring. I fell asleep during the first episode. Without an expert writer and a compelling lead, how can The Acolyte succeed? What are your thoughts? Please leave a comment and like the video. Subscribe to Galactic Initiative for honest takes on Star Wars.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is registered trademark and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.